Welcome to this week's episode of Ballet Wise. My name is Michael Wise. I am your host and creator. I've had a professional career that has spanned all over the world. I'm the first American male that was a principal dancer in the Soviet Union. I've had opportunities to work in good companies and bad companies. I have trained in professional schools. I have trained young dancers that have gone to professional careers, and I have mentored so many others. So the purpose of this channel is to let you know that I want to bring you these experiences and answer your questions to hopefully get you a little bit further along or give you the answers you're looking for within your career, or whether you're just that student or you're the parent of a young dancer. Now, there's some housekeeping we need to do. First, I'm not a medical professional. I don't play one on television. I don't claim to know the answers to everything. My job here is to start the conversation that we should be having. Now, we are going to cover some topics that might be a little touchy, maybe a little bit sensitive. So we want to make sure that we always protect everyone that we work with. So a lot of times we will get questions, and I want to make sure those people are completely feel safe, that I can use their stories and then be able to move on to a topic that's based off of their stories. So today we're going to have a story with Dorothy. Dorothy was, as a young dancer, she has had a professional career already. She trained in multiple excellent schools. She has danced in companies. But her number one question she was always asked was, we want more. We want more from you. We see that you can do so much more. We see that there's more there. And quite often as a dancer, when you hear these questions, you never are given a direct answer of what is more. Do I need to do more technically? Do I need to do more when it comes to being confident? Or is it more about, am I dancing or giving emotion? It's too vague of a general question that quite often people are given. But we're going to try to break that down. The way I was able to help Dorothy is the fact that she never understood what was being expected of her. Everyone always thought she was far younger than she actually was. So they were always like, well, it's not her time, but when her time comes, she'll be ready. She eventually graduated from her school. She went on to her professional career. She danced multiple years. But throughout that time, it was always the same question. We want more. We see that you can do more, and we just don't know how to get it out of you. So by taking the time with her and getting her to understand that her issue was never technical. She's technically a beautiful dancer. She had a wonderful work ethic, so that wasn't the question. Where her question was is she was not opening herself up and showing her emotional range within her dancing. So whenever you're asked that question, I want more from you, you need to understand yourself. Are you lacking technically? Are you lacking as a performer? Or lacking in some other area? Now, when we say these types of things to younger dancers or to young professionals, they haven't lived life enough to even understand what more means. So we need to make sure that we are, as teachers and as mentors, we need to make sure that we're being clearer in our ask. I want to see more of yourself in your dancing. I need to see more work within your technique. Because if we give a vague answer and you expect the person to understand it, quite often they're going to be lost and confused because we're not dealing with the brightest minds on the planet at this age. Me being one of them. Now, I will use my personal experiences, but I'm different than a lot of other people. For her, she needed to learn to be more confident. She needed to feel more accepted. And she needed to feel free enough that she could start allowing herself to take some risks, technically, as well as when she is performing, to let go. Because when you truly are free and you are capable of dancing the way you are meant to dance, everyone's going to understand it. Everyone in that room's going to feel it. They could have their back turned and they will feel it. Now, she decided to move on. She felt like she had the career that she wanted to have, but she never understood that one aspect. She continued to dance for a handful of years after that, discovering that side of herself. And she finally found the satisfaction she was looking for. Now, I'll come from my own perspective because I'm a different kind of dancer. I'm not the dancer that usually walks into your class and has trouble showing who they are. I always had the trouble to settle down to focus on my technique. Now, in today's world, we have a giant problem. We are developing technicians. We're not developing dancers. It's not the number of pirouettes you turn. It's not how high your jump is. It's not how long you can balance. It's not how perfect your fifth position is or how incredible a body you have. Those are all things that certainly help, but they aren't the answer. The answer is we want to see you. Now, as a student, you may not know who you are. And we're not asking for the most complicated parts of yourself. For me, I'm kind of like a bull in a china shop. I attack movement. I love playing characters. I like being funny. That's where I have my strengths. So when people are asking more from me, they're asking more from my technique. Because they're usually telling me to back off when it comes to showing who I am, showing myself as the performer. But that performance aspect is something that has been lost. It's very confusing. Ballet is an art form. It's not a competition where we're having technical scores. So if we're constantly and only focusing on technique, that does not allow us to be anything of interest on that stage. Just because you can balance for 4 hours or do 17 pirouettes on point or any of those types of things, I hate to say it, no one cares. Because once you've seen it, you don't need to see it again. But when you go and see a performance where you feel what that dancer's feeling, not just whether they hit fifth position, but they actually make you feel, that is what more is. And it's not a male or female thing, it's an artist thing. Just like we can understand when it comes to all the great painters. You look at all these people that went to these incredible schools, they trained with the great masters, they learned how to do that brush just perfectly. But then why is it we have people like Rembrandt? Why do we have Van Gogh? Why do we have these artists that speak to billions of people? Because they were able to convey their approach, their ideas, their feelings onto that canvas. So we as dancers, if our technique is perfect, there's a phrase that quite often you might hear: perfection is boring. As dancers, we should never see ourselves as being perfect. As dancers, we should always see ourselves as students. We should see that we always can do more and reach further. But as dancers, we have to be artists first. Because if you're an artist, you won't be asked more. You'll be asked, I want cleaner technique. Because you will be able to allow the world to see who you are. But that does require you to have confidence, to be in an environment that allows you to explore those things, and you shouldn't be downtrodden. I've had students that literally are brilliant young dancers, but because where they came from in their school, they are destroyed. They never want to do ballet ever again because somebody has taken the love of this art form away from them. So if we're creating an environment where, yes, discipline is needed, but where we're nurturing and we are developing and we are encouraging, we are going to allow these dancers to start to try to open up because we're creating a safe space for them to be it. Fear does not develop a great dancer. Respect does. If we, as teachers and mentors, respect the student and they will respect us, then you can do the work that needs to be done. As a student, you have to find that strength in you. You have got to understand, what do you want from dance? Is it just something you do? And if it is, that's wonderful. Enjoy it, but understand that you will always have a limit to what you will accomplish because it isn't your first passion. It isn't your first love. There are those of us that when we step into the ballet world, we find our voices, and in a way we become unstoppable. But when you tell someone you want more, they're eventually going to ignore it if you don't explain it. As a company member, you're in a company and the artistic director is going, you know what, you have so much potential, but I just want more. What they're asking for is they want to see that rawness in you. They want to see what you're capable of doing. Look at it from this point of view. Technique. What is technique? Technique is discipline. It is hard work and it is discipline. What is performance? What is the ability to dance? That's the counterbalance. It's the chaos. It's the emotion. It's the feeling. When you're able to combine those two together, that's what makes the artist. That's what makes the true dancer. Because if you're too much of one thing, it's boring. There's no feeling. But if you're too much of another thing, there's no control. There's just this rabidness to your movement. It's the marriage of the two sides that create the kind of dancer that we have to be. So when you try to have someone asks you, I want more, where are you on that spectrum? Ask that question. If they can't give you an answer, maybe time to find a new teacher. It may be time to go talk to someone else. Because if we don't know where we're lacking, whether it's showing feeling in our dance or whether we need to be focusing on our technique, we're all coming to this from a different point of view. I'm going to be all the way out here on the chaotic side. They had to drag me kicking and screaming into the technical. You might be the person that's completely over here. This is your safe space. It's the technical. And you know what? You need to be dragged kicking and screaming over to the chaotic side, because if you don't understand both pieces, you will never be truly whole as the dancer. Now, a lot of people may disagree with me on that, and that's great. But if we don't have these conversations, and if we don't reach out to other people, and if we don't get them to understand what is needed, we're going to end up with individuals like we have right now that are basically lost. They're technicians. They're nothing but throwaway dancers. You can find a dime a dozen. But the ones that are in the companies that just can't be let go are the ones when they walk out on stage, you feel. It becomes Like, you want to be that. It's not just the way they did a double tour to fifth position, or however many pirouettes they did, or how incredible their arms are. Once again, those are components, but they come from that side of discipline. You have got to find a way to show the more chaotic side of yourself. Show us real emotion. Walk into class angry. Don't yell at anyone, but use that anger to attack a tendu. Use that anger to do your grand battements. I will tell you right now, everybody in that room will keep their distance because they can feel you. So if you were able to take that kind of energy and put it into your dancing, imagine what you would be capable of doing. Because as soon as you allow some of that chaos into your movement, you're going to have to learn how much chaos you can let in before it knocks you off your leg. And that's the truth. Learning to control the chaos is just as important as learning to be disciplined and standing in fifth position. So, once again, they want more. To give them more, you have got to go into the uncomfortable areas in your mind, in your dancing, and pursue those. Now, I might be a loss for words because this is something that's very, very passionate for me. I see this in people. I see people that cross my path who have had they were very young, and you see a video of them and you just see the joy on their faces. They move in ways that only that joy can inform. And then something happens. Their confidence gets destroyed. Their love for dance. It's there, but they can't let anyone see it because they were beaten up and chastised. And I realize that we have to be strong individuals in the ballet world because there are a lot of people, very passionate people, that aren't always going to be the nicest when it comes to you. But we need to also understand that strength comes over time. It's not, you don't want somebody walking in front of you that's super confident, but they don't have the discipline or the capabilities to do it. What are they going to do? Sit there and just beat on your door all day long, begging for a contract? That's not a way in. That's not how you do it. So keep that in mind. Whether you're that student that's being asked for more, whether you're the professional that's being asked for more, whether you're in college and you're being asked for more, whether you're a parent and your child is being asked for more. That understanding comes from that marriage between the discipline of the art form and the chaos of the artist. And without those two, there is no dance. Because dance is something that comes from within us. If you go back into history and you have African drums and people just dancing around, they don't have technique. There is no right or wrong to bounce around. We all do it. Please, how many times have you been walking around and you hear a good song and you start getting your groove on? That's normal. That's what we call dancing. I don't know how many times I've seen somebody standing over in the corner, they hear that song, they close their eyes, and you can feel them because they're dancing. There's no technique involved. They're just getting their jam on over in the corner. No one is judging them. And if you are judging them, shame on you. You should smile and be happy because that's true joy. But that's what we're missing. That's what more is. It's bringing and incorporating those things that are just so natural to us. But they are more chaotic. What ballet is, your technique is like learning a foreign language. You can learn to speak French incredibly well, or Russian, or Spanish. But if you speak it in a monotone tone, no one's going to care what you say. If you learn those languages, and even if you're not absolutely perfect, but you say it in a way with passion and love and emotion in your voice, people will listen. People will care. People will want to be involved with you. That's what dance is. That's what more is. More is the human element that we apply to the discipline. Fifth position is fifth position, and it will never change. Passe is passe, and it will never change. A pirouette is a pirouette. These are the constants. Emotion, well, that's individual. That only comes from us. So that's more. So hopefully this is going to help you. This will help you move on. This will help you start to get more answers. Because if someone says, I want more, and you give them more, and they go, whoa, 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 that's not what I wanted. Well, you've certainly answered your own question. But quite often they're going to go, whoa, whoa, where did that come from? And you're like, well, you asked more, so I gave you more. Don't be afraid. Fear is what's always going to stop us. It's not that it's not that I'm not afraid. Yeah, I get afraid all the time. But the difference is I also understand that my fears quite often don't have basis. They're because I'm afraid I'm going to get embarrassed. I wouldn't be talking to you if I get afraid to be embarrassed. But I used to get embarrassed all the time. Fear is what keeps us from giving more. So that's something that we all have to work on. So hopefully this has answered your question for you, or it has put you in a position where you have now new questions, new things you can ask. And if you do, put it down in the comments. Send us an email. I'd love to be able to continue to tackle these types of subjects because I see how important they are to this industry and the type of dancers that companies really do need. So remember, we're here for you. I'm here to start those conversations and hopefully give you some guidance that will allow you to move forward and be better. I don't claim to have all the answers. But all I know is I was successful because of what I did, because of the mentors I had. I have mentored so many others that have gone on to professional careers. Or a professional that's come across my path that has lost their way. I'm not a psychiatrist. I'm not a medical professional. I'm just a dancer. I'm a dancer that cares, that wants to help, that wants to see our next generation and the generation after that and the generation after that be the best kind of dancer they can be. Now, there are so many places that are out there. They're going to sit there and tell you how to do a better tendu. Whoop-de-doo. I want to teach you how to be a better dancer. Yes, technique is important. But this is an aspect that we're talking about that no one wants to talk about, that no one even is willing to take on. So, let's hear your questions. Let's hear your concerns. Let's hear your stories. And let us introduce the world to your story, and then allow us to take it apart, find where the problems are, and maybe we can help that next person. So, once again, this is Ballet Wise. I hope you will join us in the future. And I'm looking forward to our next meeting and the next video. Podcast, however you see us. Like if you like it. Subscribe if you want to see more. I think you want more. And once again, I hope you have a wonderful day.